All right, 7 p.m. Good evening, everybody. This is the Town of Dartmouth Planning Board meeting scheduled for January 26, 2026. As previously stated, the Planning Board voted in public to continue meeting virtually in accordance with the Governor's 2025 extension of the virtual/hybrid open meeting option through June 30th, 2027. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. At this point in time, we'll take a roll call vote. Kevin Estes.
Here.
Ilya Rosa.
Here.
Margaret Sweet.
Here.
Lori Miller.
Yes.
Nick Psychopatis here. All right, that brings us to agenda item number 1, which is public hearing. To get started, we'll need a motion to open that.
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Margaret Sweet and seconded by Kevin Estes to open the public hearing for the Planning Board Special Permit PSP 25-2, 813 State Road. Margaret Sweet.
Yes.
Kevin Estes.
Yes.
Lori Miller.
Yes.
Ilya Rosa.
Yes.
Nick Psychopatis. Yes. Dan, do you want to get us started?
Sure. I actually have a letter from the applicant's engineer to continue, but just before I read that into the record, just a brief update to all the board members. We meaning planning staff, met with the applicant's engineer early last week, along with a representative from the DPW, trying to iron out all the just little outstanding items. At that time, it was asked by the director of the DPW for the applicant to get in touch with Stantec, who is the sewer representative engineer for the town, to have the sewer analyzed for the proposed use. So that kind of put us a little on hold to have that for the meeting tonight. So that is what they are in the process of doing. Hopefully we'll have some answers by the next meeting. But we did receive a letter dated January 22nd, 2026. Chairman Psychopatis, we respectfully request a continuance from our scheduled meeting with the planning board on January 26, 2026 to the meeting on February 9th, 2026. So if it's at the board's discretion, I would recommend a vote to continue to February 9th at 7 o'clock, and then we could return to the regular meeting.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing and the application until February 9th meeting of 2026
At 7 p.m.
at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion made by Kevin Estes, seconded by Ilya Rosa, to continue the public hearing for item number 1, 813 State Road, Planning Board Special Permit, to the February 9th, 2026 meeting at 7 p.m. Kevin Estes.
Yes.
Ilya Rosa.
Yes.
Lori Miller.
Yes.
Margaret Sweet.
Yes.
Nick Psychopatis, yes. At this point in time, we will need a motion to close this particular public hearing and resume the scheduled planning board meeting of January 26, 2026.
Mr. Chairman, we don't want to close this. We just continue. We just want to
Sorry
return
about
to.
that. Sorry.
Yep, no problem.
Continue and resume.
Motion.
I think I tucked that into my motion, but
Was it in it? If it is, we are back in the January 26, 2026 planning board meeting. Which brings us to administrative item number 1. I'm hoping most of you saw your packet. And tonight we have the Agricultural Commission with us. If I'm correct, somebody from the Agricultural Commission will open a public hearing on their behalf. Dan, if not, please advise.
Yes, that would be correct. So we would just need DCTV to authorize the Ag Commission so that they could open their public hearing and then present their item for discussion.
Yep, DCTV here. Just let me know if there's anyone in particular I should make co-host.
I can't share my video, I guess, because it's disabled by the host. Hi, this is Karen from Serpent.
I think Karen Pettinelli would be the person you need to make a co-host. There you go. Thank you.
Should be all set now, Karen.
Thank you.
Give it another try.
How are you?
Hi. Good evening. Sorry, I was a couple minutes late. I don't know where I was
Worries.
stepping in here.
Um, I just wanted, okay, I don't have a video, but that's okay. I just wanted to start the meeting off by saying that I had posted the meeting with the town as a joint meeting with the planning board, which doesn't affect the way we conduct the meeting. It's just that that's how we generally do it. So technically, it's not a public hearing. And I'm not sure at this point if I know if there's a distinction between a public hearing and a joint meeting. But at any rate, that's what we have done in the past. So that's how I posted it with the town. So that as many members as that are on the commission can join as many members of the planning board that are at this meeting. I had asked Dan about Dan and Ross having this meeting because it's been a while since we've had an opportunity to discuss certain initiatives that affect us both. And I thought this might be a good time to open it up. It's actually on the heels of Karen, of course, is with Serpent, as you all know. The AdCom had a conversation with her about the possibility of writing a grant so the AdCom could go for another cost of community services study, which hadn't been done since 2008. And the community has seen some changes since then. And also the AdCom has met with Dan and Ross. We had a meeting last Friday. Oh, I guess it's a week ago Friday now, for prioritizing farmland parcels, which was, I think, it was very well received. It included conservation, DNRT, and of course the Agricultural Commission. So we had a number of different entities there to discuss that. It was an exercise that we used to do. Oh, and it included Parks and Rec. So if there are any properties out there that are of particular interest to any one of those boards or commissions, we've already started the discussion on it. And the other item that we were hoping to discuss tonight was the potential for reducing the size of the farmhouse lot on an APR property, or any property that we end up exercising or right of first refusal, if we have the opportunity to reduce the size of the farmhouse lot. So I guess we could start with Karen if you're okay with that.
Sue, do you want to have a camera?
I mean, they can. I don't know whether I was supposed to send the list to Ross or to DCTV, so I only sent it to Ross, but I
Okay.
can.
DCTV, if you wouldn't mind just co-hosting Sue Guiducci, please.
Yes, Sue, yeah, you've been made a co-host. So if you'd like to enable video, you're able to.
Okay.
And if there's
thank
anyone
you.
else in the meeting, just let me know. We kind of do it on a as needed basis now. So
Sure.
just if you know the name of the attendee, the chair, or whoever's appropriate, can just let me know.
Actually, Derek Christensen is the chair, so if you would like to enable his camera, that would be great.
Okay, there, you should be all set. You've been made co-host.
Derek, do you have, are you in contact with us? Perhaps he stepped away. Karen, is this a moment where you would step in until he's back?
Sure. Yeah, that works. So yeah, a little background as to how I came to be here tonight. I was doing an agricultural needs assessment this past spring and summer, Well, sorry. My name is Karen Pettinelli. I'm a principal natural resource planner with Serped. I have a background in agriculture, and I received a policy and planning degree from Tufts recently before taking this position. And I was brought on partially to help support the agricultural communities in the region. So I was doing a needs assessment and reaching out to AgComs throughout the region and visited the Ag Commission in Dartmouth and asked if there were ways Serped could support them. And yeah, and Sue mentioned this cost of community services analysis as a way to assist in making decisions around open space preservation, and also given her involvement with the planning board and other boards, generally assist in land use decisions. And so I went back to our team essentially and asked like if we can do that. I'm in the environmental department and the comprehensive department. They're the people who handle master plans and other economic development initiatives, housing initiatives. And it would be our comprehensive department that would be doing this study. So I asked them if they were, yeah, if this is in their capacity and something we can do. And they said yes, and we'd be happy to do it. And we talked about different scopes, like there's different types of cost of community services analysis you can do. We talked about doing one that was just on open space, or doing a full one that includes residential, commercial, different types of land uses, and essentially to figure out what is the cost to the community of each type of land use decision. And yeah, working with the AgCom and, deciding that doing a full cost of community services analysis is the best in a way, just for like having a well-rounded study essentially, so that Dartmouth representatives can best make decisions on your land use decisions. So yeah, so then there is this Eco One Stop is a new grant portal essentially that the state is offering, where they combine a bunch of environmental grants into one application portal. And after Sue asked me about this, the Eco One Stop announcement came out, and I was like, oh, we could apply for one of these grants essentially in order to do this study. So we met with both Sue and my team met with the state, and there's two grants that align well with this project, and one is the EEA Planning Assistance Grant, and then the other one is the MVP, the Municipal Vulnerability and Preparedness Program. And essentially there would be different scopes depending on, so essentially you apply for all of these grants at once, and then the state kind of decides which grant is most appropriate to your project. So it would, depending on what the state thought was appropriate, if we were granted an award, it could either be a smaller scope with the EEA grants. They have a cap of 50,000, and we would essentially do the study and then do some public outreach to help just present the study to the community. And that would be with DNRT and the AgCom and, other folks who are interested essentially in, bringing the results to the community. And then the MVP grant, it's a much larger grant, and we could do a much bigger public education piece and public involvement piece along with that. And also we could involve partners in the actual grant. And MVP, they really like to see that. So essentially, yeah, so we came to this decision essentially to that applying for this grant could be a good idea. We got a lot of support in our from our expression of interest around its competitiveness essentially. And one of the things that was mentioned by, so Courtney Rocha is the MVP representative for our region. And she said that since climate has a big impact on, all the costs, all the land use costs and what they will be in the future, if we included a climate essentially variable into the equation to see over time, like how would these costs change? Because essentially you have the next unit cost, right? Like what's the cost of the next house or the cost of the next agricultural, field you preserve. But then if you look at all the factors involved, the over time analysis looks a lot different than like just the next unit, and you get a much fuller idea of what, the impact of these decisions are. So we were hoping to already do an over time analysis. So, and if we wanted to go for the MVP grant, which is larger, we would also include a climate component to see how climate might impact the costs to the community of these different choices. I just said a lot. So, and sorry, I know there's like a lot of acronyms and things, and I'm happy to just, yeah, pause and answer questions.
Nice job, though. I took a lot of notes, and your
Okay.
presentation was very, very organized. So I appreciate that. I'm sure we all appreciate it.
And I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet you all. I'm assuming you're all on the planning board, except for those I recognize from Ag Commission and DNRT. Is that right? Or
Oh, we can just go down really quick. Nicholas Psychopatis, Chair of the Planning Board. Next member. Lori, go ahead.
Lori Ann Miller, Vice Chair of the Planning Board.
Margaret Swee, Clerk of the Planning Board.
Kevin Estes, Planning Board.
Helio Rosa, Planning Board.
thank you.
So is Derek with us by any chance, or?
Yeah. Do you guys pick up on my audio?
We do now, Derek. Good evening.
Apologies. It took a while to get permissions going.
That's okay. Before we, good evening and thanks for joining us. Before we jump into questions after what Karen presented, we had called your name out. Is there anything you want to share at this point?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add one thing real quick.
Yes.
Derek, could you just please tell us your last name just for the record so we have your name?
Sure. Yeah, Derek Christensen. I'm the chair of the Dartmouth Ag Commission.
Thank you.
And I think Sue can talk well for us as well, but just to give a little bit of background, that we've been having meetings building on a work that's kind of quite outdated, which was looking at properties in the town. And this was probably 20 years ago, assigning an ag value, a recreational value, kind of a rubric score to say which of the properties are the most critical to be thinking about preservation going forward. So Nick has been convening meetings at the DNRT just last week, and then previously in 2025, bringing people together from the Ag Commission and staff members from the town. And I think it's been a good process. It's helped get everybody on the same page in terms of awareness around which properties are sort of like the marquee properties when it comes to ag preservation coming forward. So I feel like we're in a pretty good place as we look at things from that perspective. So the cost of community services study, Dartmouth had one of these done in 2005, I think was the year it was published through the American Farmland Trust. And we have access to that documentation, but obviously something like that is so outdated. And what I'm acutely aware of as a town resident is just the turnover in town and how many people were not here and present in previous conversations, and the important value that we have to, bring the conversation of what it means to preserve farmland, what that means down the road for costs for the community going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Sue, would you like to chime in at this point?
No, Derek did a great job, and as did Karen. So I think so as not to, spend a whole lot of time on this, because I'm sure you have other things that you need to discuss. That's pretty much the long and the short of it. We're just hoping that we'll get the grant. We've actually have a little pot of money set aside from the last study that we did that we can, leverage, this other grant, should they request it.
But your efforts are greatly appreciated. And as much as I do remember you, Sue, when I came on initially, I believe you came before us a couple of years ago. Kevin Mello, I think, was the chair at the time. So I've had one meeting with you folks with the Ag Commission, if my memory serves me right. But I look forward to knowing anything more than I know now in terms of cost of community services, because the inability to answer these questions when the residents of the town ask us as servants of the town in this capacity, when we're talking about housing and mixed use and units and affordable or not, the impact on the community and schools, et cetera, all comes up. And to be very transparent, I can't answer those questions. So I look forward to having such study and having such answers, not only for us, our decision making and what we do for the town, but being able to answer the common questions. So,
well, let me ask you this: would the planning board entertain the idea of giving us a letter of support for the grant when the time comes?
I don't want to speak for the entire board, but I, Nick
Sure.
Cyclepatis, am very much in support of having an accurate assessment of the cost of community services, especially when we're talking about developing units, which are going to put residents in the town, students in the schools, students in buses, elderly looking for elderly housing. I think we need to know those things. So without knowing more at this point in time, I'm very supportive of your efforts. And I'd like each board member to feel free to, share your thoughts.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would, anything that can support any board in town to making the best possible decisions, to take as much information as possible to weigh and allow us to consider the impacts across multiple areas. I don't see how we wouldn't possibly endorse that.
Thank you, Helio.
Nick,
Anyone
can I
else in
ask-
support of, or yep, go ahead, Lori.
Yeah, Nick, I have, well, two things. I'll make a motion to write a letter to whoever we need to write it to, and we may need to write more than one in support of going for this grant.
We have a
So that's a
second.
motion.
Second.
Motion made by Lori Miller, seconded by Kevin Estes to support the Ag Commission's efforts in securing a grant hereby stated as an EEA or an MVP, regardless, to further assess the community services, cost of community services. So Lori Miller,
That's to send a letter in support
a
to
letter
whoever
in
we need
support
to
of.
send it to.
Lori, those last couple words were broken up. I'm sorry.
That's to send a letter to whoever we need to send it to. We should send it to the Ag Commission immediately, but we may need to send it to Serped and to the granting authority too.
All right, so the motion made by Lori Miller, seconded by Kevin Estes, is to support the Ag Commission with a letter to them, as well as any other entity identified, to further assess the cost of community services by a grant hereby described as an EEA or MVP that Karen shared with us tonight. Motion's made by Lori Miller, seconded by Kevin Estes. Lori Miller?
Yes.
Kevin Estes?
Yes.
Margaret Sweet?
Yes.
Julia Rosa?
Yes.
Nick Cyclepatis, yes. Did we
Okay,
get
Nick,
everyone?
I have one more. Nick, I have one more question.
Please, go ahead.
Sue, years ago we talked about this and nothing was done about it, but I think this is a new planning board and I think maybe now we can accomplish it. You talked about, I think presently a farmhouse has to have 2 acres of property, and the Ag Commission had talked about trying to get that lowered. Am I wrong with the 2 acres and getting it lowered to maybe an acre or half an acre?
Yes, and that was actually on the agenda for tonight, but if that's something you don't necessarily have time to discuss in any length, we can always establish a subcommittee comprised of planning board members and AgCom members to kind of decide what direction we might want to go in, because now there are complicating factors like impervious surfaces, and I think that planning board members might have and I could be wrong, but may have a better concept of how do we can approach that issue in particular. I don't know if Fred or Nick or Derek want to weigh in. I can see that they're muted, but I don't know if they can unmute unless DCTV allows it.
Was this supposed to be something that could be handled by a zoning article at town meeting? I don't remember how this. Yeah, I remember we all talked about it before, and it was just never accomplished. I thought it was a simple zoning appeal at town meeting stating that the agricultural house, as long as the person was working on the farm, could be deleted to a smaller acreage. I thought that's how it could be approached. Maybe,
And you're
maybe,
100%.
Go ahead.
So,
No, I was gonna say you're 100% right. You have a really good memory because now it's coming back. We just we have new members on the AdCom as well, and we've just recently started to bring this up at meetings. So I thought it was a good time now that it's the winter, and we can sort of talk about how we might be able to do this with a zoning article.
Sue, at one of the CPC meetings, we've discussed this. It's Margaret. And I thought that we were going to have something presented to the planning board at a meeting.
Yeah, you mean how we were going to
Zoning, yes. On changing the lots of the house. Is it 2 acres for every farm? Or just depending on what zone you're in?
Well, if you're in residential, I don't remember all the zoning.
Well, if
now
you're in a B,
requirements.
yeah, if
If-
you're in a B, you need 2 acres. But
That's
if you're,
right.
yeah, but if you're not in residence B, you know, you don't. So I'm just, Laurie said 2 acres and I'm trying to question that because I don't know. I wasn't on the
Yeah.
planning board then.
Well, I think that most of our APRs are in zones where a 2 acre
All right.
house
You're
lot
in
is
Okay, you're
required.
residence B then, yeah.
Anyone else?
Dan, is that something that we can get you to work with the Ag Commission, Sue, or whoever they appoint, the two of you to work on this and bring it back to the planning board? Would that be a way to accomplish this?
Yes, if the planning board wants to authorize us to look into it, my guess is that it's probably just single residence B that they'd be looking for a reduction on, but more information I can provide, better feedback to the board.
How does the board feel about doing that, asking Dan to work with whoever at the Ag Commission to see what can be done about this? Because I think
Well-
it's a simple zoning article.
Well, I think, and I've said this at other meetings that I've attended, and Sue knows this, I think that 2 acres for a house is probably too much on a farm because they need all the land that they can have to farm, okay? Because it's hard to make money on a farm. So I think I'm all for it. I'd like to see the house lot on a farm reduced and not have a requirement of 2 acres.
I have
If it
no
helps,
objection.
Sorry,
Okay,
Gil, you
Dan.
go ahead.
No, just to answer the question, I have no objection to empowering Dan to continue the work.
Same here. My thoughts are consistent with what Margaret just shared, and I'm on board with Dan taking this over.
Same.
Can I just ask if any of the other AdCom members want to weigh in on this? 'Cause I can't tell how they get unmuted do they have to ask DCTV or can they just click unmute? Okay, all right.
I can unmute. I'm very much in favor of any conversation that starts to look at what are ways that we can empower farmers to be profitable and viable going forward. And I think, does anybody, the planning board should be well aware of the high cost of living in town and an awareness that there's sometimes dual interests at play when land is conserved. And sometimes there's a risk that when we put a 2 acre house lot on, does it make it an estate property that's attractive for a gentleman farmer? That being said, as a vegetable grower, there's infrastructure that's always needed in almost every farm operation. If you think about the Frarys in the north side of town with their slaughter processing for Copa cut, storage and freezers, it can really be dangerous to limit farm buildings on agricultural properties. So I think one of the conversations is if we do look at lowering lot sizes for houses, making sure that there's still language on properties that allow for the agricultural use buildings to be sited on site.
Thank you, Derek. Sorry about that. Okay. I definitely have some questions moving forward. This reduction that we're talking about, it's going to be a deed restriction. It's going to be subject to the use of farmland. It's in perpetuity. What happens later? What happens when the reality of farming just isn't sufficient enough anymore? Maybe not in 3 years, maybe in 30 or 50 years. I don't know. So I do have some questions about the road we're going down. They don't have to be answered tonight, but to prove my point sarcastically but polite, farming in Brookline probably wouldn't be all that profitable based on the cost of properties and land and so on. So I'm curious to hear from you folks the long-term implications of what's being presented and discussed tonight. Not only for me to be better versed in it, but also to paint the picture for everyone else to look at the bigger and broader picture.
Well,
Anyone
I
else?
guess, go ahead. Oh,
No,
I
go
don't
ahead,
know.
Sue. Go ahead.
We talk a lot about food security. We talk about food miles, meaning would you rather, I mean, the number of miles it has to produce needs to travel from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast. I mean, it's really going to have to be a preference on the side of the consumer. I personally don't want to eat food from across country. I'm more than happy to spend a little extra money on food that's grown in our own town. So I'm not sure that's going to be going away anytime soon, but I certainly have no idea what's going to happen in 50 years. But I imagine that people will still, unless we're taking pills by then, I guess that would be my only response to something like that. But
I don't disagree with local produce. I don't disagree with anything local. And there's nothing more enjoyable than surprising my wife when I stopped somewhere and bought something fresh on the side of the road a few miles away from home without being asked to do it as a husband. You get extra points that way. So I agree. It's wonderful and it's enjoyable. I want to understand the nature of these zoning changes and the implication to the current farm as we know it and what the farm might be later. And does the zoning stand change? There are people who don't necessarily benefit right now from zoning opportunities because of the zones they're in and or limitations. And I want to be able to answer questions when they ask about this. So if there's any thought put into this reduction in terms of what it means today and or perpetuity or not, you folks can share it now. If not, at the follow-up meeting or when we realign and we learn more, I think it's going to be something that needs to be discussed.
May I talk, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
I think since Dan's going to meet with Sue and talk to Sue about it, I have some ideas, but I'd like to share those with Dan when he's talking to Sue and get some answers from Sue and the Ag Commission, because on CPC, they've been before CPC several times. And I think when we start saying in perpetuity and things like that, we have to really know what we're talking about, okay? As long as a farm is a farm, I have no problem, because I feel where I live at one time was all farms, and now it's not. And I feel bad, very badly about it, because, they could feed the town with what we used to have. We had lambs, we had beef, we had horses, we had everything out here, and now we don't. So I'm a big supporter of the Agriculture Commission, but I think Dan and Sue, or Dan and the other members, have to get together, and maybe we could all ask some questions that Dan can maybe try to get answered, if that's okay with you, Mr. Chair.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. And to be transparent, I'm not in support either in the word of perpetuity. That's why I want to ask questions and understand the implications of the changes. So I'm on board with Dan doing exactly what you spoke of. Does anybody else want to support that and or add to anything this evening from the planning board?
I'll just reiterate my support that Dan talks to the AgCom and learns a little bit more, and also brings the planning perspective to some of their ideas. I think it would be important for us to bring our ideas to Dan first.
Great, thank you. Helio, I believe you mentioned earlier you're in support of this, correct? Of our actions, great. And Lori?
Yes,
On
since I was
board
the one that
with-
brought it up.
Yep, perfect, perfect. All right, so Sue, Derek, Karen and company, if there's anything further, great. We're here to listen. Otherwise, per the planning board, we'll let Dan interact with you directly, and we will independently provide some questions and request feedback from Dan accordingly.
Thank you very much.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for inviting me and for offering to write a letter. That's awesome.
Great.
Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you all. Nice to meet you, Karen. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. All right, we are on to administrative item number 2. We have an approval not required for 100 Mission Point on Assessor's Map 11, Lot 15. Dan, you want to run us through that?
Sure. As you mentioned, this is an application for an approval not required plan filed on the portal application process under PNR 25-9. This is for an address of 100 Mission Point Road, also known as Assessors Map 11, Lot 15. This plan is to reconfigure said lot into 3 new lots, subdivisions Lot 1, 2, and 3. These lots will be located in a single residence B zoning district. The plan as shown would satisfy section 1.101C of the Dartmouth subdivision regulations, that every lot to be created has frontage of the distance required by the zoning bylaw on a private street in existence prior to April 7th, 1953. So all the lots are listed on the plan, also in your packet, in the little table showing that all those frontages are met for each of the 3 lots. So this plan would be eligible for endorsement, and I would recommend that the planning board vote to endorse said plan.
Does anyone have any questions?
I do, Nick.
Go ahead, Margaret.
Dan, this wasn't a 61A at any time, was it?
They didn't note that on their plan, so I don't know off the top of my head that it was or wasn't. I believe Mr. Boucher is here. I don't know if he has any input on that.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and everyone. It's Mark Boucher with CAB Engineering Solutions. Margaret,
Hi,
to
Mark.
answer your question directly, I don't know if any of this was under 61A. I'm not aware that it was. I do know the overall parcel as it exists prior to this division was about a 30-acre piece on the west side of Mission Point Road, and 25 acres, which is now shown as Lot 3, was under a conservation restriction to remain undeveloped in perpetuity. So I'm not aware that there was an additional 61A restriction on any of it.
I just have a question. If it was under a 61A and they did want to do an A&R, would this be something, Dan, that would have to be approved by the selectmen? That's the only reason I asked if it was a 61A.
Just for sale of the lots.
You can subdivide like that under a 61A without, well, I guess you can because it isn't for sale.
Yeah, I believe it's.
It's my understanding that any obligation that's on a lot applies to the subdivided lots as well.
I just wonder, yeah, that's what I'm just wondering. I'm just curious. And I might say this now. At one time, we used to, when I was on zoning, I used to require that when I got them, that we got field cards. Because when you get a field card, everything's on the field card. So maybe, Dan, because we don't have that much in front, maybe we could get field cards along in our package for the properties that we're getting. That might help because they have, you could tell if it was a 61A.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, it's Mark again. I have divided properties that were subject to 61A, and Dan's correct. I think it's the conveyance of any of the lots that actually triggers the right of first refusal that you're talking about. At this point in time, the Parker family is trying to, I guess, set up estate planning for various family members. And as far as I know, there's not an imminent transfer of title involved. But again, I have been involved in projects where a farm that was subject to 61A was divided, and it did not prevent the endorsement of an A&R plan.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you're probably correct, Mark, because it is not for sale. It was just a question when I looked at it, and unfortunately, I couldn't call the town hall today to find out. So
Sure.
That's why I bring it up tonight.
Yep.
So Dan, just to kind of get this in a level of understanding for me. Let's say if we have a single lot and we want to subdivide that lot, if there's any kind of an obligation on that lot, that obligation survives the subdivision to both of the subdivided properties, right?
Yeah, so like Mr. Boucher said, that runs with the land.
Okay.
A recent one I can think of is the land across from UMass Dartmouth. They
Right.
did an A&R subdivision there, and then they went in front of the selectmen for right of first refusal. I know there was a question about maybe purchasing one of the lots. That didn't end up happening. But the restriction still runs, and if there is any kind of restriction, it'll have to be offered up to the town for right of first refusal in any way, shape, or form the lots are subdivided.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Thanks, Kev. Anyone else? Are we comfortable with what we now know about the A&R and what we've shared? And if so, do we have a motion? If not, do we have further questions?
No, I'm comfortable. I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made by Margaret Sweet, seconded by Helio Rosa to approve, approval not required, 100 Michon Point, Assessors Map 11, Lot 15, Margaret Sweet,
Yes.
Helio Rosa,
Yes.
Lori Miller,
Yes.
Kevin Estes,
Yes.
Nick Cyclepatis, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Bye,
Have
Mark.
a good night.
Brings us to administrative item number 3, chapter 91, waterways, water dependent license, 19 Smith's Way, Assessors Map 14, Lot 10. It's also in the packet. Dan, if you want to speak on behalf of it, please go ahead.
Sure. As mentioned, this is for 19 Smith's Way, Assessors Map 14, Lot 10. This is an application brought forward by Craig Marshall with plans by Haru Engineering to license and maintain an existing fixed pier and proposed fixed pier extension, gangway, and float. The plans were included in the packet for all the board members. In accordance with the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, the planning board has to be notified of the license for comment. Standard procedure for these, if there's no concerns, the planning board should acknowledge receipt of the notification and consider sending the standard letter, which was also included in your packet. So it would just be a vote to authorize me to send the standard letter back to the DEP.
Any questions from the board?
No, we do a lot of these. I have no questions.
In the absence of any questions, we need a motion to approve Dan to send the standard letter as he mentioned.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Helio Rosa, seconded by Kevin Estes to approve the Chapter 91 Waterways Water Dependent License for 19 Smith's Way. Helio Rosa,
Yes.
Kevin Estes,
Yes.
Margaret Sweet,
Yes,
Lori Miller,
Abstain.
Nick Cyclepatis, yes. That brings us to administrative item number 4. Discussion regarding the site plan review revisions, Article 24 changes that we have discussed. We've seen the red lines and discussed them. Dan, go ahead and share with the board, if you don't mind, the status of that with council and so on.
So I have been in contact with Town Council Brian Cruz. We have given him the same information that was in the packet. This goes back a few weeks. We've had some outstanding issues, I would say, from finalizing discussions on this for the past couple of meetings we've had. But both documents were sent to Mr. Cruz, Attorney Cruz, and he is reviewing them. He's kind of hoping that by the next meeting, if there's any questions, decisions, he can either attend a meeting, hopefully either the 9th or the next meeting in February. So if it's the board's decision to move forward on this, we can begin the public hearing process and move towards a potential Springtown meeting warrant article.
Thank you, Dan. Does anyone want to share anything at this point in time prior to we have council on with us? I know there was some discussion. We did discuss the parking situation, 18 versus 20 feet versus the feet, how many feet between 2 parking spaces left to right, the aisle, etc. I kind of felt that at this point in time, perhaps we wait to see town council, but by all means, let's discuss whatever we need to discuss. Anyone?
Dan, I have a question. Dan, have you already sent this to town council? Are you in the process of sending it to him?
Yes, he's had it for a few weeks now.
Okay.
He was hoping to have something back to us for the next meeting.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Before we meet with him in person, I would like to get his response in writings like we did for our other
Yes.
special permit.
Yes,
So that
I
we
did
would
mention,
have his opinions before we have the
Yes.
meeting.
correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else regarding Article 24 in town council? All right. If that's the case, we'll move on to item number 5, ongoing discussion, Dartmouth future zoning. I just want to share something before we move on with this subject. I did have the luxury of sitting with Mr. Patrick Carney. I did express to him in summary a lot of the conversation we're having, mostly with the commercial and the need for units above and converting to mixed and the story that we've all talked about. And I shared the fact that we really need to hear from some developers. And I asked if he would consider speaking to us at any point in time. He immediately responded yes, but this time of year, he bounces back and forth north and south quite a bit. And he quickly referenced the fact that he would have Patrick Carney Jr. jump on with us and or one of his other members whose name escapes me at the moment. So depending when we think is right, I'd be happy to reach back out to him and ask for that commitment and get that on our agenda. Anyone else with anything to share regarding future zoning and what we've discussed so far?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just
Yes,
add
please.
something.
Yeah.
I have spoken to a few other potential stakeholders for this kind of zoning changes, and they kind of were in the same thing, looking towards spring, so that might be an ideal time to maybe take that next step. At that point, hopefully the housing production plan will be in effect, and a few other items that will hopefully get us a complete picture of what we'll be looking at for zoning potential changes.
I appreciate that. I want to share the fact that I know we keep on talking about the housing production plan, and I know we've referenced spring a few times. Either by virtue of a meeting and having somebody before us or independently asking some questions. I mean, I feel like between now and then, if we gather any information, it's better than no information. Perhaps how they feel about present zoning, what their obstacles are, big or small, what they foresee for the town. Anything that we can bring to these meetings from their perspective, I think would be constructive by all means. It wouldn't be destructive in any way, but I'll use everyone's judgment, including yours, in terms of when we start inviting people to come before us. But along the way, I don't think there's any harm in asking some questions and trying to share it amongst us.
Mr. Chairman, I sent Dan today, he couldn't get it, but I sent Dan today something that was in the Wall Street Journal this weekend about housing and from California. And they were talking exactly what we spoke about with these big boxes and all the parking that was required for the big boxes and all that expensive land that is not being used. And these people were converting a market. They were putting housing above a market, 100,000 square feet. And I forget how many houses, but Dan has the article and he'll send it to all of you to read because it's exactly what we've been talking about doing.
Excellent.
You know, and as far as parking, I know we have, the zoning board has approved a new car dealership, which I had talked to the gentleman as a planning board member. And it's going to be interesting when they come before us to see how much parking that they're required for their cars on the lot. Because if you travel and you go to the Midwest and to California and down south, you'll see that a lot of these car dealerships now are going up. Have you ever seen any of those?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. So they all go up, they have elevators, and they don't require the kind of parking that we do, because it's absolutely true. As I mentioned, you go to these big box on Fons Corner Road, and you got all this extra land. You know, we shouldn't make them do that anymore, really.
I think that you're spot on, and I agree with you. There's going to be contest over what you and I just agreed upon and going up, and that look of that form of retail and how it conforms or not when we ask a nationwide dealership to change its peak or use a different siding and so on. Hard to do that when they're going up 3 stories with glass, 3,000 square feet per footprint, and they're putting cars up and down on an elevator.
Well, I just use that as an example. I don't expect any car dealerships to do that here yet. But what I'm trying to say to you is the amount of land that is required needs to be changed because, you know, Nick, if you go to Home Depot.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yes.
I'm agreeing with you. 100%.
Look all the land that Walmart has, and they don't use all that land.
Sure.
All that parking, I should say, not land, parking.
But
the one that upsets me a lot is over by Kohl's and the old Christmas tree shop and so on. I know we have a market going there, but I think anything shy of Disney World going there will still be parking available.
Right.
It's a profound amount of asphalt.
Right. So we need to look at that when we're doing our planning because it's not fair.
Someone was trying to say something. Go ahead,
I was going to say to for the group's benefit, to Dan's credit, you know, some of these proposed changes on the Article 24 do begin to address that. So I applaud the effort.
Thank you, Julia. Anyone else want to contribute at this moment? Dan, anything else from your perspective regarding Article 24, perhaps that we should be discussing at the moment?
Not at the moment.
Was a good job. I read it all. Good job, Dan, and the people and whoever. I didn't add too much to that, but it looks good.
Yes, and we'll have time. We'll have time as we're going through the process to be able to tweak things as we're going to. So
Okay,
we still got a little bit of work to do.
yeah. There were a couple of things that I have questions on, but we can wait till what the town council says.
Yep.
Dan, did you say it a little bit ago regarding when you expect town council to be with us about this, or do you have an idea?
He when I spoke to him, he was hoping to have his markup comments prior to the next meeting. I was planning on reaching out to him after our discussion today, and then make a determination as to when he'd be before us, whether it be the 9th or that second meeting in February. So I'll have a better understanding and more to add for the next hearing on February 9th.
Great.
Dan, is it possible for you to, as soon as he sends them to you, send them to us so that we don't get them on the Thursday or Friday before the meeting, if it's possible, so we'll have more time to read them?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
If nothing else regarding Article 24 changes, it brings us to number 5. I'm sorry, it brings us to number 6, Dartmouth future zoning, and then number 6, minutes.
Yes, so we have 3 sets of minutes to approve if the board is okay with them. We do, as you can tell, we have a new person to transcribe our minutes. Her name is Caroline. So we have the 3 that were ready prior to sending out the packet. She has since, I believe it was today, I received the last couple minutes, so those that were outstanding. So those will be ready for the next meeting. So after that, we should be fully caught up on our minutes. So if the board has any comments on these 3 sets, November 17, 2025, December 8, 2025, and December 15, 2025, if not, I would recommend a motion to approve the minutes.
Individually or as a group?
I would do each one individually.
Okay, so let's address the minutes of November 17th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Motion made by Margaret Sweet, seconded by Kevin Estes to approve the minutes of November 17th, 2025. Margaret Sweet,
Yes.
Kevin Estes,
Yes.
Lori Miller,
Yes,
Ilya Rosa,
I'll abstain from this one.
Nick Cyclepatis, yes. Next, we have the minutes of December 8th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
so moved.
Motion
Second,
made by Kevin Estes, seconded by Lori Miller to approve the minutes of December 8th, 2025. Kevin Estes,
Yes.
Lori Miller,
yes,
Margaret Sweet,
I'm gonna abstain.
Ilya Rosa,
Yes.
and Nick Cyclepatis, yes. And then we have the minutes of December 15th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve them, please? Do I have a
So moved.
motion to approve the minute? I'm sorry, who was that?
so moved.
Do
Lori,
I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Lori Miller, seconded by Kevin Estes to approve the minutes of December 15th, 2025. Lori Miller,
yes,
Kevin Estes,
Yes.
Margaret Sweet,
I'm gonna abstain for that too.
Ilya Rosa,
I have to abstain.
and Nick Cyclepatis, yes. Dan, I'm dragging my tongue. I'm not sure if that's the meeting I was absent.
I
No,
don't
you were-
believe so.
You were there for that one, Nick.
Okay, Nick Cyclepatis, yes. That brings us to item number 7, correspondence. Dan?
Yes, these are the typical notifications from planning boards and zoning boards of Fall River, Freetown, Town of Westport. We also have a letter from local residents Fred and Kate Dabney in regards to a 40B project sent to a few different boards. Obviously, this isn't something that the board would be voting on for 40B approval, but it's in the packet. It was sent to us. So if everybody's all set with or doesn't have any comments with that, it would just be a motion to acknowledge and file.
So moved.
I have a second,
second, can I make a
Motion.
comment, please?
please.
I want to thank Fred and Kate Dabney for sending the letter, a copy to us as well to the zoning board of appeals, because we don't always get letters that are sent out. But I'd like to make a comment on his number one number one issue, the water rate. He's absolutely right. Our water rates are going up. But I wish the board of the DPW would enforce their fines on when we have a water ban. I'm driving around town and it is raining and they're using their sprinkler systems. Therefore, we have to buy more water when they're using the sprinkler systems in the summer when there's a water ban. I wish there was something we could do about that, because that's a substantial amount of money that we're paying for water in the summer when we don't really need to. And that's my nasty comment for the night.
Well, that's very true, Laurie. I see it too, so I agree.
I will also second that opinion.
I won't disagree with it.
Thank you. I
And
just had to
also-
say it. I mean,
But you're right, Laurie, because when there's a ban, some people don't care and they do it anyway. So there's nobody
Yeah.
to go around
Well,
checking.
even when there's not a ban, it's common sense. I mean,
I
if it's
know, but-
raining, don't water your lawn.
No, but I'm talking about when there's a ban and it's a
Yes.
sunny day
Then it's
and you're
enforceable.
not supposed to be watering. I go by all the time and see people still watering, okay? And I know because I started a new lawn, but if there was a ban, I wouldn't water.
well, no,
I mean,
you can do a new lawn, but someone who's had a lawn for 30 years.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, I had spots in my lawn.
Okay.
Spots, not a whole new
I
lawn.
pulled mine up.
Did you?
Yeah. 106 William, come take a look. Well, don't look now. Wait for the snow to melt.
I'll wait for the snow to melt.
We pulled it up. We put a stone walkway and we put local plants that are
Oh.
drought resistant. And I would love to take a lot of credit for this, but my wife is really good with plants, and this was all her design, and it is very sustainable. And I can tell you that we certainly don't water anything anymore, other than when it's first planted.
Oh, I'm going to go by and see it, Kevin.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to see it as well.
Fantastic.
And Kevin, you
Well,
got
in
more
the
credit
summer.
than you thought for referencing your wife's idea.
There you go.
All right, so this brings us back to correspondence. Do we have a motion to acknowledge and file?
Motion.
We had a motion from Helio already, second
Oh,
by
sorry.
Lori.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, motion made by Helio Rosa, seconded by Kevin Estes to acknowledge.
Nope, second by Lori.
Lori.
Now I gotta get my stuff in order here. All right, here we go. Motion made by Helio Rosa, seconded by Lori Miller to acknowledge and file item number 7, correspondence. Helio Rosa,
Yes.
Lori Miller,
Yes.
Margaret Sweet,
Yes.
Kevin Estes,
Yes.
Nick Cyclepatis. Yes. I used to put your initials. I used to take notes as I was doing this, but I'm getting very comfortable. I didn't do that tonight. So sorry. Item number 8, our information, old business, new business. Dan?
Nothing new for incoming zoning board applications. We do have one decision that was in the packet. That was ZAV 2511. That was 411 Fons Corner Road. Board members might remember that was originally something that came before the planning board for a potential Audi dealership. This proposal is for a convenience store / gas station / drive-through that was approved by the Board of Appeals. So hopefully that is something we will see coming before the board in the near future.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any subcommittee reports?
We had a CPC meeting and the Agricultural Commission was before us regarding financing, and getting some funding from the CPC. And we had Christine talked about, we now have, I think, 23 new properties that have been added to the historic, I'm going to forget the name of it, where you can look it up and get the history from the state of Massachusetts. What's that name? I can't remember the name, Dan.
I'm
With
not
the-
sure.
Oh, yeah, the state of Massachusetts has the whole history of these 23 houses now.
Nice.
And
Nice.
one of them actually was a commercial property, which I was surprised. So that's really nice. And they do it, and the person that did it, she did a wonderful job. So, you know, I'll just have to remember the name and give it to you. But they did a
Nice.
very good job.
Thank you, Margaret. Anyone else? If not, we'll jump down regarding the planner's report and the housing production plan update. Dan, you mentioned it earlier on in the meeting, but can you just state it one more time, like where that is in process? I
Sure.
know it's kind of been
So-
brought up, but
The representative from Serped, I have them to come before the board on the next meeting, February 9th, to discuss the draft housing production plan. I've already given her a few notes of things that I saw that I would like to see added. If any board members have anything that they see as they're reading through it, I would ask that you please forward those requests to me so I can get them to her. So hopefully she can address those before the meeting and we can have a productive discussion on the 9th.
Dan, I haven't read the whole report yet, but I certainly will get that to you as soon as I'm done.
Perfect. I also have one, well, I'll let anybody, if anybody else has anything to add to that item.
go ahead, Dan.
One other item of note, for those, I'm not sure if everybody's on the board is aware, Chris Vitale, the Assistant Town Administrator, has moved on to another town from his position. One of the things that he was working on was facilitating some of the 40B projects, helping out the Zoning Board of Appeals. So I have kind of taken on a little bit bigger role on that to help the zoning board. One thing which I believe I mentioned to the board at the time when the Hathaway, that's what it's called, the Hathaway off Hathaway Road, the new 40B came in, that my brother was in a butter, so I kind of stayed out of the discussion. But now facilitating some of these things I am now, I have filed an appearance of conflict of interest for that with the select board, and it's also in the office of the planning board. So if anybody wants to take a look at that or would like a copy of it, I can forward that to you.
Thank you, Dan. Brings us to the chairperson's report. I hope that you and your families are safe and warm and that everybody fared well the past couple of days. I don't have anything of substance to add at this point in time, but the floor is open if anybody wants to add anything prior to the next item. Otherwise, the next scheduled planning board meeting will be February 9th at 7 p.m. And Dan, is that the meeting that the Serped member will be attending, or we hope to?
That's what I have it penciled in. I sent it to the representative and they confirmed. So barring any issues, I would expect to have them here at the 9th.
Okay, great. So in the if there's any potential for any of us to be absent, I would strongly support the idea of getting a couple of questions to Dan or any of us to include in that meeting, if that member's here. So
Again, this is referring to the annual report that you emailed out today,
The housing production plan.
the housing production plan, all right?
Yes. So we as a planning board will vote to accept it. Then it'll go to the selectmen. They'll accept it. And then there's one final step. I don't have it right in front of me now what the department is, but the Serped sends it to them for the final approval. So I will have that information, or they'll have that information at the next meeting.
It is a very interesting read.
what's that, Helia?
It's a very interesting read. And there's a lot to go through. And I'm not saying I've gone through it in its entirety, but it's a very interesting read.
Anyone else?
It's actually a lot longer than the one they did several years ago, I'll tell you that.
I was on that committee with Dan.
A lot of pages of the survey results, which I don't remember those
Right.
being in the last one. So that definitely adds some
Yeah.
weight to it.
The survey results are fascinating.
Yes.
There's a lot of conflicting information.
They
often-
contradict themselves too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
I
many
often
different.
wonder about surveys. Don't the rest of you often wonder about surveys? Someday I'm gonna ask for a complete list of the people they surveyed.
Well, if you remember, Margaret, there was very few results. We made a
Yes.
push to get a larger amount, and the representative from Serpent said we actually far exceeded most towns. So we did a good job of
Yeah, we had 100,
getting more responses.
when we were done, we had over 400. And that's a big increase.
Well, any questions or concerns, by all means, we should get them in writing, either ready to ask them or share them with Dan, and dissect it as much as possible, as polite as possible with that member before us, that's all. If
Okay,
there's
boss.
not, what's that?
I said, okay, boss.
Oh, no wonder I didn't hear you. You said boss. Well, if that's it, we can go on to number 9. Been good seeing everybody. I'm glad everyone's well. I understand most people have not lost power, which is nice, which means most people have heat, correct?
Right.
Yes, thank God.
Very nice. Agenda item number 9. Anybody want to proudly support
To
it?
adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Helio Rosa and seconded by Kevin Estes to adjourn tonight's meeting, January 26, 2026. Helio Rosa,
Yes.
Kevin Estes,
Yes.
Margaret Sweet,
Yes.
Lori Miller,
Yes.
Nick Psychopatis, yes. Good seeing everybody.
Stay safe, everyone.
You
Yes.
as well. Have a great evening.
Safe, stay
Good night,
warm.
everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.